Welcome to Pearsall Podcast. I'm Mike.
And this is Orlando, and we're here for another Monday episode. Yeah. And this one's a little different because usually we give you like 5 tips, 5 things to think about. This is still going to be valuable. Hold on. Before you leave, it's still valuable. But before you think about anything else, make sure to hit that subscribe and that bell notification. And most importantly, that like button to let us know you appreciate our videos. So on this one, I thought we should talk about the 5 indirect effects of reselling.
Yeah. And this was really big for me because more and more, I feel like it's important for everybody to have a mission, to have a vision in life, like something they're really after. And it can be really hard for people to find what that is. And what I think my mission and vision, where I'm starting to move more towards, is in my own life. I feel like it's important to build a free, durable household where I'm financially independent and I can support myself. And there's a lot of different things I'm doing. I mean, I want to have a homestead. But what I see this podcast doing and reselling doing is I see it being an opportunity to teach people and show people and connect with people who are doing the same thing. So like my vision and mission in life, and I'm not saying like that's not the podcast, but I mean, it kind of is, because our mission is to help you level up your life through reselling. And so reselling has many benefits other than just, hey, I made a little bit of money. Right? There's a ton of things that it teaches us about life. And I love, and this is one of the reasons I'm passionate about doing this podcast, is more than just, hey, reselling. Because honestly, eBay, whatever, it is what it is. It can come, it can go. But it's the things that reselling is doing in my life and teaching me and allowing freedoms that I want to share with as many people as possible. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Some of the indirect effects of reselling.
So the first one I want to talk about is just the idea of time freedom. I would say out of all of them, because we could talk about like, oh yeah, we're going to get this Lambo, we're going to get this, which we would never do. I don't even think if I had the money to buy a Lambo, I'd buy a Ferrari probably, but not a Lambo.
But that's honest. I was going to say in some extent, that might be one of the indirect effects of reselling, right? Is that you're just not so concerned about materialistic things.
Yeah, agreed. And where I led to was, to me, the greater value has been the time freedom. Right? The ability to be able to not have to go, you know what, I have to go work, another 8-hour shift, or I have to put in overtime to make extra money so we can go on vacation. Right. And so I noticed this right off the bat when I went full time 3 years ago. I was kind of concerned, like, will sales keep happening if I can't work for a while? Will I be able to travel? And I've been able to do more of that than I've ever done in my entire life. And part of that is because you put systems in place as a reseller. Now, I'm talking about full-time, but even as, a part-time reseller, you can still just make this happen, because instead of you going, hey, I need to work, 40 hours to make enough money to be able to go to vacation and go to Disneyland. Instead, you can go, hey, if I can go sourcing to, let's say, 4 Saturdays for garage sales and pick up enough inventory and I can list them, I can probably get enough money to go on vacation within a month or so. And I'm not going to have to spend a ton of time, because, you think about even now with the minimum wage going up at this time, right? And it's wild how much it's going up at this time, right? The amount of money you can make by just reselling items you find at a garage sale, the amount you can make minimum wage don't even come close to the amount of money you can make reselling, as long as you're picking up the right inventory. So the time that is available to you as a result of reselling, like it's an indirect effect that sometimes I personally don't even think about.
Yeah. And honestly, if you're a part-time reseller, and I could speak on this as the part-time part, you might have less quantity time because of reselling. I actually spend more time, like when I listen to my friends, like they're getting off work and they're like, yeah, I'm going to go home and play video games. Then I'm going to do this and I'm going to watch this movie. They talk to me about all the shows they're watching. And I'm like, I don't even remember the last time I watched a TV show, right? Like, I don't have time for that stuff. So what I've noticed though, is I'm redeeming my time in a way where I spend more of my quote unquote free time doing productive things. And so instead of having more quantity time in my life, it's not like I just have more time to just do nothing, but I have more quality time in my life. So I redeem the hours of just playing Netflix or watching Netflix, playing video games, just kind of wasting time, like I feel like a lot of people do. And instead I'm productive with that time. So that way, when I do have, this weekend or this week, we're going to do something, I'm not worried about money. So I have the freedom of quality time because I'm trading in quantity time that often gets wasted by most people And if that's what you want, if you just want to work a 9 to 5, come home and play a video game and not really improve your life, like if that's your goal, I mean, do you, right? That's fine. But for me, I'd rather come home, work a little bit, and then now I'm paying off all of my debt and I've got all of this freedom. And so I have more quality time as opposed to just quantity time of doing nothing.
Agreed. Now, the second one is, I put it, you buy differently. And what I mean by this is, as you know, I remember before I was a reseller, I never really went to thrift stores, right? I mean, I would go to discount stores and I still was kind of frugal. But once I started doing thrifting and retail arbitrage for Amazon, the way I buy things changed significantly, right? And so all the time, you know, when I need certain things, right, I'm out and about thrifting. I'm not only thinking about reselling, I'm thinking about what I can buy that will save me money, which in the end, you're still making money, right? Because if I'm spending, you know, $10 for something at the thrift that would cost me $80 to $100 new to put in my house, I'm making money. I'm saving money, right? And so it's still worth it to me. Also with retail arbitrage, I've been to so many stores, you know, I know the patterns of when stores have sales. I know the patterns of when to buy and what to buy and what the seasons are. And so, you know, the better you get at reselling, I truly believe the better you become with money, right? Because you truly understand the value of our current inflated dollar when you spend it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And even kind of going back to what I said at the beginning of the episode, you become in a lot of ways less materialistic. Now, if you are a shopaholic and you just have to buy things in order to feel good for yourself, that's a separate issue. But I think most of us struggle with that to an extent because you get that dopamine hit, you buy that new toy, you buy that new whatever, and it feels good for a little bit and then it never satisfies. So you got to buy new things and you're constantly spending money to satisfy. Whereas when you're reselling, you actually get a dopamine hit when you buy something to sell. And so you don't need to buy stuff for yourself, right? Like you've just replaced, hey, I can make money off this as opposed to I'm going to buy more things to fill up my house with junk. And you save money because of that. You're less materialistic and that helps a lot. You save money by buying things that you need anyways, but you're getting it at a discounted price. And the other thing that I noticed when you're a reseller, you often think like long-term in the sense of, you know what, I need this for a short amount of time. If I buy one on offer up for whatever price, the resale value on this holds really well. So I could use it for a year or two while my kid's young, and then I can turn around and flip it and get my money back. So it's basically like I had it for free for 2 years. Whereas people who buy it new, yeah, they can sell it for whatever the used price is, but they lost that. It's like when you drive a car off a lot, right? Like it automatically loses a bunch of value. I'll buy the Bob stroller for half price used. I'll use it for 6 months while my son's that age. And then I'll turn around and sell it for the same price I bought it for. And it's like I had it for free. So it changes the way you think about the items that you purchase.
Agreed. So let us know in the comments, what are some indirect ways that you started noticing that as you became better at reselling, they're like, wait a second. I remember there's a certain point in time where I'd be willing to pay this much for an item and now I'm not. Or just, the time freedom. How's it allowed you to have more time? Or maybe now you don't know if you'll ever be able to go back to 9 to 5. That's where I'm at right now. Like I can't find, and I'm not saying that reselling is the end all. Okay, I don't believe that. There's many ways to make money. But for me, it ended up becoming the avenue I needed to be able to level up financially, which I think it's strange still that I sell old shoes and clothes. But it's allowed it to happen. Now, let's talk about the next one. I find that reselling makes you a better negotiator, right? Especially if you're out there making deals, whether it be, at garage shows, whether it be at local deals. It allows you to see that. Or
buying a used car for yourself.
Or buying a used car for whatever it is. And especially if you read that book that we have up here, Never Split the Difference.
Yeah.
It's a big, to me, it's one of the top 10 most important books if you're getting into reselling. Just to be able to make that deal and not split that difference, but instead make that money work for you. And my negotiation only gets better the more you do it. And so it indirectly affected me. I mean, I just think about recently, I've talked about on the podcast, I just moved and a lot of the items and this goes back to our point previously, a lot of the items that I picked up, because I had to pick up a new, washer and dryer. I had to pick up a new fridge. I had to pick up a new couch. I had to pick up new this, new that. A lot of the items I was able to pick up like new, like pretty much brand new at a super discounted rate. Or I was able to find that certain stores had the same products for way cheaper just because I have been doing a lot of retail arbitrage. But I've also been able to negotiate most of those items and keep a lot of money I would have been spending. And so it gives you this mindset that pretty much anything is negotiable, as long as somebody is trying to sell something to you.
Yeah. And then it helps you to understand people better, right? Because you understand what it is people want. It teaches you how to listen better to people's stories. Never Split the Difference is a great example. We've read other books that kind of teach similar things, but it really does just help in general with your people skills. It lets you interact with people when it comes to making deals like that, but just anything. When somebody's talking to you about their hobbies, their whatever, you listen differently because your mindset is one of not how can I take advantage of this person, but how can I connect with this person? How can I understand them? How can I understand what makes them tick? You do that almost subconsciously the more you do that, and it allows you to have better relationships. What is it? What is in it for this person? What can I do to help this person? What am I offering? What am I bringing to the table? And it also helps. I mean, I'm a pretty introverted guy, and it kind of gets you out of your bubble. And I know probably a lot of resellers are the same. There's some of you who are probably extreme extroverts, so it's no big deal. But some of you want to resell because you don't want to go to the office and small chat with people, right? Like that's not your idea of the dream job. You're kind of just, I want to do my own thing. And it forces you in some ways to get out of your bubble, talk to people at garage sales, talk to people at thrift stores, make deals with people for wholesale stuff. And as you learn those skills, and it also gives you something just to talk to people about, right? Like you could be at a party and someone's like, hey, what do you do? And you could say that, well, I'm a car salesman, I'm a this, I'm a that, whatever you do 9 to 5. And I also sell stuff on eBay. 9 times out of 10, people are like, huh, what? And you could just give them learn the quick rundown, maybe have a couple of quick stories you can tell them of, yeah, one time I sold this thing for, I paid $2 for it and I sold it for $800. It was crazy. You automatically are an interesting person to somebody because you've got an interesting life. And so it's super beneficial. It's great at parties. You got something to talk about and it helps you understand how to talk to people.
Agreed. All right. This next one is an interesting one. And we learned this during the pandemic.
Yeah. This is like my, like going back to the beginning when it comes to what my mission and value is, durability, right? Because reselling, there's financial freedom that comes from reselling. And that's a huge part of it. The fact that you can have enough money or at least know the path where you could say, in 6 months, I could, if I scale and continue what I'm doing, I could leave my 9 to 5. Now, maybe I don't want to, but knowing that changes everything in your life. You can go to work and you can kind of just smile when the boss is picking on you and complaining about stuff. Cause you're like, you know what? I don't need this, right? I'm doing this because I want to, or whatever it is. But at any point you could say, you know what? Peace, I'm out. Or if your company says, hey, we hate to tell you this, but you're actually replaceable and something happened with our company and you're gone. Because no matter what, no matter how good of an employee you are at a company, you're always replaceable. You know where you're not replaceable? You're not replaceable with your family and in your own life. And so reselling gives you a bit of power in your own life, a little bit of control where you're not basically a corporate slave, or you're not, completely reliant on a company or reliant on the government or reliant on anything else. You've got a little bit of independence, and just that little bit gives you so much power. Because so much of our life, we're concerned about what other people think about us. Am I doing a good enough job? What if I mess up on this one thing? And just you don't sleep well when that's your life. You might argue about finances with your significant other. There's all kinds of negative things come when you don't feel in control of your own life. And reselling is one of the things that gives you maybe a lot of control, but maybe just a little bit of control. And that little bit of control can make all the difference in the world. And being durable, that's a good feeling of, it would suck for my company to go under, but I could figure it out. Or I at least, maybe I'm not at a place where I could do it tomorrow, but I at least know the path that I would need to take to get there. And that opens up so much freedom in your life. Agreed.
And, the reason I brought up the pandemic was that all the resellers that had been reselling for a while, they knew what to do. And it was just to work harder. And so we ended up listing more, and it ended up becoming the most profitable year I've ever had. Right. And it's still even more profitable because it set me up. And so, there will always be a market for goods. People will always want to buy things, and there always will be people that will supply those. And so reselling indirectly creates stability, like Mike said, because it gives you the ability to control. You can't control everything. There's always black swan events. The pandemic was a black swan event. Okay. We can name tons of them, right? But with reselling, there is a consistency of, hey, there's always buyers and there's always sellers. So durability is great.
Yeah. And just one quick thing I'm going to add to that. I know we're running a little long on this one, but it almost kind of creates a little bit of stoicism in your life too. And one of the values of stoicism is the things that you
Can you define stoicism for us?
Yeah. So a big part of stoicism is just understanding that there's things in your life you can control and things in your life you can't control. And if it's something you can't control, it is absolutely worthless to waste any time stressing or thinking about it, right? Like what other people think about me, what I'm, if my car breaks down, all these things. So what you can do is you can control the things you can control. Okay, well, I've got money saved up, or this thing, well, I guess I'm going to have to fix it. And you don't let emotions control your life, and you just allow yourself to run off of what you can control. And what reselling does, there's always ups and downs. Markets change. Things are constantly changing. And the resellers who can't develop that little bit of stoicism, they're not going to last very long, because what was selling, 6 weeks ago isn't selling anymore, and then they're out. Or you just say, all right, I got to figure out the next thing. That didn't work. Now I got to do this next thing. And it teaches you adaptability, and that skill transfers to every area of your life. I mean, even the most horrible things that can happen to you, it's easier to shrug off and go, it's one of the downs in life. Where's the next up? And you just kind of keep going.
I feel like this is like a motivational episode.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. The last one is, I believe reselling indirectly allows you to build. And I can speak to that, because I honestly, till this day, everything is surreal to me. The fact that, I left a job that there was a lot of security in. I mean, the security abounded. I mean, I had a salary, I had benefits, I had a community that had connections to many things. And walking away from that was my biggest fear, was that all that was gone. But had I stayed, I would have, I don't think I'd have a larger place to live. I don't think I would have other streams of income. I don't think I would have, a lot of the things I have now, because see, with reselling, the potential, right, is limitless. Right. There is no, you keep building. Now, I would say reselling can be the end all. I think reselling is a vehicle to do other things, whether it's you invest in real estate, whether you invest in crypto, which is right now, be careful. You invest in the stock market, you invest in other businesses, whatever you'd like to do. But what reselling allows you to do is, hey, if you want to put gas to the fire and you want to keep going and you want to keep going, you can keep going as long as you're sourcing correctly and you are selling well and you're getting things out on time. The rewards keep coming back and keep coming back. And at the same time, right, as we talked about the other indirect effects, you learn how to spend your money better. You become more financially literate. You begin to go, I wonder what else I can do with this, right? And if you listen to our podcast, which we'll get back to eventually, to our what did we call those again when we read books?
Yeah, level up reviews.
Our level up reviews. It's been that long. It's been that long.
We may or may not get back to those. They'll be, if we do, probably shorter.
Yeah, they will be short. But there were plenty of books. Rich Dad Poor Dad impacted me. The 4-Hour Work Week. I mean, there was a lot of books. But here's the thing. As a reseller, I began to see, not only should I reinvest my money from reselling back into capital and back into the business, but I should put it into other avenues that will make money for me for the long term. And so reselling indirectly gets you to think of the bigger picture.
Yeah, it changes your mindset to thinking business minded, right? Our schooling system doesn't do a very good job of teaching people business skills unless you go into get an MBA or something. But in high school, you're not learning basic economics and things like cost benefit and opportunity cost. But when you start reselling, it's a crash course in that. It's a crash course into opportunity cost. When I buy this, what am I giving up? Capital, time, what am I gaining, right? When I'm watching Netflix instead of listing, what am I gaining and losing here? And once you start thinking that way, you'll notice you'll think about that way in so many areas of your life. You're going to start thinking, is this a good investment? Is this a good use of my money? What else could I do with this? Is there another business opportunity? The more business minded you become, that's why I feel like entrepreneurs they dabble in so many different things, is because once you develop that mindset, you just think of everything in that way. You think of how can I make money off of this? How can I turn this into my benefit? And reselling is a good way to take somebody who doesn't know anything about that, or that's not the way their brain naturally thinks. And next thing you know, you're thinking about, how do I build an empire?
Agreed. And so hopefully if you're new to reselling, this motivates you to keep reselling. If you've been reselling for a while, hopefully this encourages you or gets you back thinking about other things that, why you keep reselling, because there are so many benefits to it. And hopefully in the end, you always keep it real,
relevant,
and reselling leads.
Peace.